These Amazon gadgets look so futuristic that it's hard to believe they actually exist. From floating speakers and self-stirring mugs to smart home products and crazy kitchen tools, watch until the end because some of these products are surprisingly useful and a few are just insanely cool. This is one of those products that looks like a normal bedside clock at first, but it actually hides a surprisingly useful safe inside. What makes it stand out is the mix of everyday convenience with extra security features that you normally wouldn't expect in something this compact. The front display shows the time, temperature, and humidity, like a regular digital clock, while the hidden drawer underneath can store passports, cash, jewelry, or other valuables without drawing attention. It also includes fingerprint access, so instead of remembering a code or carrying keys around, you can unlock it instantly with a touch. One detail that makes it even more practical is the wireless charging pad built into the top, which means it works as part of your setup instead of looking like a bulky safe hidden in a corner. For small apartments, offices, or travel rooms, it's the kind of gadget that blends into the environment while still giving you a secure place to keep important things close by. A lot of digital clocks try to do too much and end up looking messy, but this one actually manages to feel modern without being complicated. The oversized numbers make it ridiculously easy to read from anywhere in the room, whether it's mounted on a wall, sitting on a desk, or used in a garage, kitchen, or office setup. One thing that immediately stands out is the colorful display, which gives it a futuristic look instead of the usual boring red LED style most clocks still use. It also shows the temperature, date, and day of the week at the same time, so you get all the basic information you normally check on your phone without needing to pick it up constantly. The remote control is another detail that ends up being more useful than expected because you can adjust brightness, alarms, or settings without walking over to the clock itself. It feels like one of those simple upgrades that quietly makes a room look more modern while also being genuinely practical every single day. This little pen-style drill is one of those tools that looks simple until you realize how many different things you can actually use it for. Because it's compact and lightweight, it feels much easier to control than a bulky rotary tool, especially for small detail work where precision matters more than raw power. It comes with a huge variety of accessories for sanding, engraving, polishing, cutting, and drilling, so it ends up being useful for everything from DIY projects and crafts to fixing tiny pieces around the house. A lot of people also use these for customizing jewelry, cleaning rusty metal parts, or even working on miniatures because the pen shape gives you much better grip and accuracy. The rechargeable design makes it convenient too, since you can just throw it into a drawer or toolbox without dealing with cables everywhere. It's basically the type of gadget you buy for one specific task, but after a while, you start finding random uses for it constantly because it's so easy to pick up and use in seconds. This is the kind of tool set that sounds unnecessary until the first time you drop a screw behind furniture or lose something inside your car engine bay. Instead of spending 10 minutes trying to reach impossible places with your hands, these extendable magnetic tools let you grab tiny metal objects almost instantly. The kit usually includes a telescopic magnet, inspection mirror, and flexible flashlight, which makes it surprisingly useful for garages, workshops, home repairs, or even random situations around the house. The flashlight attachment is especially handy because you can point light into narrow spaces where a normal torch barely helps. A lot of people end up using these while fixing appliances, building PCs, working on bikes, or searching behind heavy furniture without needing to move everything around. The extendable design also makes it compact enough to keep in a drawer, backpack, or glove compartment without taking much space. It's one of those practical gadgets that you barely think about after buying, but when you actually need it, it suddenly feels like a lifesaver. An electric carving knife is one of those kitchen gadgets that seems unnecessary until you actually try one for the first time. Instead of fighting through crusty bread, large cuts of meat, or roasted chicken with a normal knife, this thing slices through everything smoothly with barely any effort. The motorized blades move back and forth rapidly, which gives cleaner and more even cuts without tearing the food apart or crushing softer textures. It's especially useful during big dinners or holidays, where carving meat neatly usually becomes annoying and messy. A lot of people also use these for slicing homemade bread because it cuts through hard crusts much more easily than regular kitchen knives. The rechargeable design makes it feel more modern too, since you don't have a cable getting in the way while using it. Even though it looks like a niche gadget at first, it quickly becomes one of those tools you keep reaching for because it genuinely makes food prep faster, easier, and way less frustrating overall. If you live somewhere rainy, go to the gym regularly, or just hate putting on damp shoes in the morning, this gadget actually makes a bigger difference than you'd expect. Instead of leaving shoes near a heater or waiting hours for them to dry naturally, these adjustable electric dryers push warm air directly inside the shoe, helping remove moisture much faster and more evenly. What makes this model stand out is the foldable design because it doesn't take up much space when you're not using it, which is perfect for apartments, laundry rooms, or even travel. The adjustable arms also make it work with different types of footwear, like sneakers, boots, or running shoes without feeling awkward to use. A lot of people mainly buy these during winter, but then end up using them year-round after workouts, hikes, or long days outside. It also helps reduce that humid smell shoes sometimes get over time because drying them properly prevents moisture from staying trapped inside. This automatic can opener is one of those kitchen gadgets that feels weirdly satisfying to use because it does all the annoying part for you with almost no effort. Instead of manually twisting a handle and fighting with stubborn lids, you just place it on top of the can, press a button, and let it go around automatically until it stops by itself. The compact design also makes it look much cleaner and more modern than the bulky electric openers people used to keep on their counters years ago. One thing a lot of people like is that it cuts around the side of the lid instead of leaving sharp metal edges, which makes it safer and less messy when opening cans quickly while cooking. It's especially useful for older people, anyone with weak grip strength, or honestly just people who are tired of struggling with cheap manual openers that barely work. Since it's rechargeable, you also avoid constantly replacing batteries, which makes it feel more convenient for everyday use in the long run. This rotating cheese grater is one of those kitchen tools that instantly makes food prep feel faster and less annoying. Instead of scraping your knuckles with a traditional grater and making a mess everywhere, you just place the food inside and turn the handle while the blades do all the work. It's surprisingly satisfying to use, especially for cheese, vegetables, nuts, or chocolate, because everything comes out evenly shredded in seconds. The interchangeable drums are what make it more versatile than it first looks, since you can switch between slicing, grating, or shredding depending on what you're cooking. A lot of people buy these mainly for cheese and then end up using them constantly for salads, potatoes, cucumbers, or meal prep during the week. The suction base also helps keep it stable on the counter, so it doesn't slide around while you're using it. It feels like one of those simple kitchen upgrades that saves a little bit of time every day while also making cooking feel less messy and more convenient overall. This compact home training machine feels a bit old school at first, but the interesting part is how many people still swear by this style of workout for building strength without needing a full gym setup. Instead of relying on heavy weights, it uses isometric resistance, which means you create tension by pushing or pulling against the machine itself. That makes the workouts feel surprisingly intense, even though the device is relatively small and portable. A lot of people like using it at home because it barely takes any space compared to benches, dumbbells, or cable machines, and you can easily store it in a closet after training. The adjustable resistance springs also let you change the difficulty depending on the exercise or your strength level. It's especially popular with people who want quick workouts without spending an hour setting up equipment or driving to the gym. Even though it looks simple, it's one of those fitness gadgets that can genuinely leave your muscles sore after only a few focused minutes of training. Portable clothes steamers used to feel weak compared to a real iron, but newer models like this are honestly much more practical for everyday use. Instead of setting up an ironing board every time you want to remove wrinkles from a shirt or jacket, you can just plug this in and quickly steam clothes while they're hanging. What makes this style especially useful is how compact it is because it fits easily into luggage, drawers, or backpacks without taking much space. A lot of people use these while traveling since hotels rarely have decent irons, and wrinkled clothes after a flight are almost guaranteed. The fast heat-up time also makes a huge difference because you can refresh clothes in a couple of minutes before leaving home. Beyond shirts and pants, people also use steamers for curtains, delicate fabrics, or even freshening up clothes that have been sitting in a closet for too long. It's one of those gadgets that quietly saves time while making clothes look cleaner and more presentable with very little effort. This levitating Bluetooth speaker honestly looks more like a sci-fi decoration than an actual speaker, which is probably why it grabs attention instantly. The top part floats and spins in the air using magnetic levitation, so when you first see it working, it almost feels fake. But beyond the visual effect, it's also a functional Bluetooth speaker with built-in LED lighting that gives setups a futuristic vibe, especially at night. A lot of people use these more as desk or room decor than purely for sound because it becomes an instant conversation piece whenever someone walks into the room. It fits especially well in gaming setups, modern offices, or minimalist bedrooms where normal speakers usually just blend into the background. The floating motion is surprisingly smooth and quiet too, which makes it oddly relaxing to watch while music is playing. Even when it's turned off, it still looks like some kind of futuristic gadget from a movie, so it ends up doubling as both entertainment tech and decoration at the same time. Electric skillets are one of those kitchen appliances that don't seem exciting until you realize how convenient they are for everyday cooking. Instead of needing multiple pans and constantly adjusting stove heat, this gives you a large cooking surface with precise temperature control built directly into the unit. It's especially useful for people who cook bigger meals because you can prepare meat, vegetables, pasta, or even breakfast foods all in one place without overcrowding a normal frying pan. The deep design also makes it practical for sauces, stir-fry, or slow-cooking dishes that would usually splatter all over the kitchen. A lot of people use these during family dinners or gatherings, since you can place it directly on the table and keep food warm while everyone eats. The glass lid is another small detail that helps more than expected because you can monitor food without constantly lifting the cover and losing heat. Overall, it feels like a mix between a frying pan and a portable mini stove that makes cooking simpler and less messy. Hydroponic growing systems are becoming really popular because they make growing herbs and vegetables at home feel almost effortless, even if you've never taken care of plants before. Instead of dealing with outdoor gardens, soil, or messy pots, this setup uses water circulation and LED lighting to help plants grow indoors all year round. What makes these especially appealing is how compact they are, since you can place one on a kitchen counter, desk, or shelf without needing much space at all. A lot of people use them for lettuce, basil, mint, or small vegetables because having fresh ingredients growing a few steps away from the kitchen feels surprisingly satisfying. The built-in grow light also means plants can keep growing even in apartments with poor natural sunlight. It's the kind of gadget that mixes technology with everyday life in a way that actually feels useful instead of gimmicky. Even people who normally kill every plant they own usually have much better luck with systems like this because most of the process is automated for you. This reading light feels a lot more modern than the typical clip-on lamps most people use for books at night. Instead of shining a narrow beam directly into your eyes or disturbing someone sleeping nearby, the transparent panel spreads light evenly across the page, so the entire book is illuminated without harsh glare. What makes it stand out is how minimal and futuristic it looks, almost like a floating screen sitting on top of the book itself. The adjustable brightness and color temperature also make a big difference because you can switch between warmer light for nighttime reading or brighter light when studying or working. A lot of people use these in bed since they create a soft, focused light that feels much more relaxing than turning on a room lamp. The rechargeable design makes it easy to move around too, whether you're reading on a couch, desk, or while traveling. It's one of those gadgets that quietly improves a daily habit without taking up space or making things more complicated. This electric body scrubber is one of those self-care gadgets that feels much more luxurious than using a normal sponge or shower brush. The long handle makes it easy to reach your back and shoulders without awkward stretching, which is honestly one of the main reasons people end up loving these. Instead of quickly washing and getting out of the shower, it turns the whole thing into something closer to a spa-like routine. The rotating brush heads help exfoliate dead skin, create more foam from body wash, and leave skin feeling smoother afterward without needing much effort. Since it comes with different attachments, people also use it for softer daily cleansing or deeper exfoliation depending on what they prefer. A lot of users say it's especially relaxing after workouts or long days because the vibration and scrubbing motion almost feels like a light massage while showering. The waterproof rechargeable design also makes it practical, since you can keep it in the bathroom without constantly worrying about batteries or tangled charging cables. This self-stirring coffee mug feels like one of those gadgets people initially buy because it looks cool, but then end up using way more than expected. Instead of grabbing a spoon every time you add sugar, protein powder, creamer, or hot chocolate mix, the magnetic stirring system automatically creates a swirling motion inside the mug with the press of a button. It sounds simple, but it actually makes drinks mix much faster and more evenly without clumps sitting at the bottom. The design also looks much cleaner and more premium than older self-stirring mugs that use noisy spinning mechanisms inside. A lot of people use these at desks while working because you can quickly remix coffee or supplements without interrupting what you're doing. The warming base underneath is another detail that makes it more practical since drinks stay hot longer instead of cooling down after a few minutes. Overall, it's one of those small gadgets that adds a weirdly satisfying touch to something as routine as making coffee every morning. Cleaning ceiling fans is one of those chores almost nobody likes because it usually means dragging out a chair, getting dust everywhere, and trying not to drop dirt onto the floor or bed underneath. This cleaner solves that problem in a surprisingly simple way by wrapping around the fan blade so both sides get cleaned at the same time while trapping most of the dust inside the microfiber pads. The extendable pole is probably the biggest advantage because you can reach high fans safely without balancing on furniture or stretching awkwardly. A lot of people forget how much dust ceiling fans actually collect until they turn them on and everything starts floating around the room. Since the microfiber pads are reusable and washable, it also feels less wasteful than constantly using disposable dusters. The smaller, flexible cleaning attachment is another nice detail because it helps clean corners, vents, or other awkward areas around the house too. It's basically one of those oddly specific tools that makes a boring task much quicker and way less messy. Walking pads have become really popular because they solve one of the biggest problems with working from home or spending long hours sitting down. Instead of needing a huge treadmill that takes over an entire room, this foldable design slides easily under a desk, better couch when you're not using it. A lot of people use these while answering emails, watching videos, or scrolling on their phone because walking slowly while doing normal daily tasks feels much easier than forcing yourself to do a full workout later. The quieter motor also makes a big difference since you can use it in apartments or shared spaces without sounding like a gym. One of the best parts is how compact it becomes after folding, which makes it realistic even for smaller apartments where normal fitness equipment would never fit. People often buy these thinking they'll only use them occasionally, but many end up walking several extra miles a day without even realizing it because it fits so naturally into their routine. These ice cube trays look simple, but the small design details actually make them much more convenient than the cheap trays most people already have at home. The silicone material makes it easier to remove the cubes without twisting the tray aggressively or cracking the ice everywhere, which honestly makes a bigger difference than expected. The lid is another really useful feature because it prevents freezer smells from getting into the ice and also allows you to stack multiple trays neatly without spilling water. The larger cube size is especially nice for iced coffee, cocktails, or whiskey since the cubes melt slower and don't water drinks down as quickly. A lot of people also use these for freezing things beyond water like lemon juice, coffee, protein shakes, or even homemade baby food because the compartments are practical for portioning small amounts. They're one of those kitchen items that quietly improve daily routines without feeling expensive or complicated. And once you switch to trays like these, regular plastic ice trays suddenly feel surprisingly annoying to use. A good rechargeable flashlight is one of those things people rarely think about until they suddenly need one and realize the cheap drawer flashlight barely works anymore. This type of compact LED flashlight is useful because it's powerful enough for emergencies, but still small enough to keep in a backpack, car, or bedside drawer without taking much space. The zoom function is especially practical since you can switch between a wide floodlight for nearby areas or a focused beam for seeing much farther away. A lot of people use these for camping, walking outside at night, power outages, or even checking under furniture and inside storage areas around the house. The rechargeable battery also makes it much more convenient than older flashlights that constantly burn through disposable batteries. Despite the small size, modern LEDs are surprisingly bright now, so these can light up entire rooms or outdoor spaces much better than most people expect. It's basically one of those simple gadgets that quietly becomes essential once you actually have one nearby.